Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
It's a Knight Riders story in qualifier number 1 yet again. They have stormed their way into a 4th IPL final. The 4th time they played in qualifier number 1, they've won it comprehensively. The Sunrisers Hyderabad blown away in a batting style template that they have shown all tournament, but it took no more than, 13.4 overs for KKR to get through to their 4th IPL final. We look back at a game that went horribly wrong right from the first over for Sunrisers, and well done to Shreyas Iyer, Gautam Gambhir and KKR for turning things around. On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL, with Tom Moody, Mitchell McClenaghan and Varun. As one-sided as these contests can be, Tom?
Very much so. You got to take your hat off to KKR, the way they have played, not only throughout the season to get themselves into this position of playing in the first qualifier, but just executing under pressure on the game. They lost the toss. We don't know what they would have done if they won the toss.
Shreyas said he would have bowled.
He would have bowled, okay. Well, so it didn't really change their plan. I suppose that's another discussion we'll have around Sunrisers batting first, given the forecast of potential dew and what have you. But yeah, look, they're just getting it right, aren't they? They're just playing far superior cricket in all departments. I thought, they bowled well. Obviously, Starc led from the front as the spearhead and took out key players. But the way they chased that runs down, it was a case of have a bit of your own medicine to SRH.
You called it a naughty score at halftime. We understand why. 160 at times, you're not quite sure, but the way they chased that's a team that is so high and deserves to be in that final.
Oh, it was an emphatic chase, wasn't it? It was impressive. It really was. And it's how they've gone about their work all season. So really, it was probably nothing that we should have not expected. I just am so impressed with how they came together as a unit in what is a qualifier, right? So shown me that they can still play their game the way that they want to play it under pressure. So look, hey, I honestly feel right now the IPL final is theirs to lose.
Yep.
I think regardless of whatever team they come up against in the final now, they are by a big margin the favourites.
I can understand why you say that, because they last played a game itself on the 11th of May. They had those 2 washouts, and we're thinking Sunrisers have sneaked into 2nd place. Will they be the team that upsets KKR? But after today's performance, it's fair to say KKR have been the standout team of the IPL. Everyone else has got some room between them, isn't it?
Absolutely. Up until today, the only small question was KKR's fast bowling.
Yeah.
I think Mitchell Starc has closed that debate now. So I don't think they have to worry about any department going into the finals. Their middle order, we were discussing, is one of the best. Top order, obviously, Narayan is firing. Gurbaz shows some really good intent today. Their spin has never been a problem. So they're looking like a complete team. And Mitch is right. Sorry, did Tom say that it's their final to lose?
Mitch said that.
Sorry, Mitch said that.
But it's hard for you to say Mitch is right.
No. I do agree with Mitch a lot.
He just doesn't say it on there.
Let's start talking about the RCB fans then.
What's that?
No, I'm kidding. Carry on, Varun. No, please. Yeah, it is their final to lose, though.
100%, because Mitch Starc, again, he showed us what a big match bowler he is. On a big occasion, getting Travis Head out, sending that message to the opposition that you guys can't play the way you all generally play.
Sure.
That was a great start, and to any high pressure situation can a match, you want a great start, and they were off to a great start, and there was no coming back from there.
38 balls, I'm told, is the biggest margin of victory stroke defeat in a qualifier or in an IPL playoff game. That tells you that KKR have just etched a little bit of history here. Comments coming through on our live YouTube as well. Please send them through. I'll take them in due course to the panel. A lot of questions on SRH, which we will come to. We're just appreciating how good KKR were. But yeah, let's go to your opening comments on, right from the top, the decision to bat first.
Yeah, look, as I said, the night before, quite often you'd send a scout out, if not yourself, out to the venue just to see what the dew situation is. And every ground, every venue is very different. And it's an important step to take, even though it can be a bit of a painful one where you've got a 45-minute bus trip or a car trip or whatever the distance is from the hotel to the venue, wait around for a bit, walk around the ground, there's hardly anyone at the venue just to see what the conditions are. But it's a significant deal if there is due, because you're talking, potentially 20 runs difference between batting first and batting second in that decision. So, to me, I just wonder whether Sunrisers knew that it was going to be that bad. I get the fact that they like to get runs on the table, they like to boss the game from the get-go. But when you're in a final and when you know that there's potentially going to be due, which is going to have a significant impact, I just wonder whether they'd question whether that was the right decision or not.
Any added thoughts on whether the decision at the toss proved crucial in the outcome of the game?
It was very crucial. There was a lot of dew, especially even after the 15th over. We saw those tires of that small little camera quite wet. And you know what? This also exposes a very huge area of the Sunrisers' weakness is their spin bowling. Because if they had good spin bowling, there could have been some comeback in the game today. Obviously, the conditions weren't really great, but then if there's no spin and Cummins off-cutters into the wicket doesn't work, then they find themselves really looking for answers through the middle phase of their bowling.
And just on that, I did come across something quite interesting. It was someone saying, obviously, usually in finals we think about like setting this total. I think the last 3 T20 World Cup, or the ODI and T20 World Cups, Australia, England, both in the semi-finals and finals, batted second and won. So in 3 significant events, it's kind of bucked that trend, and it probably does come down to the conditions we are seeing around the world now. You are getting later starts in games, so the elements do come into play more now than they probably do in other competitions. I found that was quite interesting, that is becoming a trend now, chase and you win the game.
Do you sense it's also to do with how SRH's season has gone? Even though they managed to chase 220 against Punjab in a last game, they have had that whole, we're not as good chasing as we are batting first. With KKR, on the other hand, there's actually no real pattern. They've been an efficient team no matter what. There was that in play. If they would have chased confidently a couple of more times in the league, maybe they would have seen a different result at the toss today.
I just think KKR are more confident in all departments. I think Sunrisers lean heavily on one department, and it's well documented, that department, their batting, because it has been quite sensational. And a couple of individuals have been nothing short of brilliant. But when you look at KKR, they've been doing a similar thing. They're not far off. And we saw those numbers at the beginning of the show where both teams rank with regards to their power plays. This is from a batting perspective, how they rank in the middle overs and in the death overs. And they're quite, it's not no surprise to see them up amongst the leading teams in the competition because they're placed first and second. But to me, if you then dissect KKR's bowling in a similar way, and their pace bowling and their spin bowling, I think that's where they break away from other teams, and particularly Sunrisers, is that they've been outstanding in that department, where I think Sunrisers, you'll probably find in that area, they've been a little bit hit and miss. And I suppose that's the fear. If you don't have a day out with the bat, you need your bowlers to rescue you. And I don't think the Sunrisers at the moment have got the bowlers or the bowling attack that's got the variety that can rescue you from an average batting performance.
And that's what we've seen throughout the season. The KKR bowling attack has the highest strike rate in the whole tournament, and I think the Sunrisers department is like second from last with their strike rates. So, and that's what we saw today. They just take wickets, and taking wickets is the most important thing, I feel, in the way the game is going today.
Sure.
Because anybody can take the game away from you.
Yeah, I've seen the success of GT built around strong bowlers. You were part of that team. Satvik echoes that point. Better bowling teams eventually come through. Says on our YouTube Live, please send your comments and questions through. SRH going in with just 3 bankable bowlers realistically. Spin weakness exposed, something the panel did touch upon.
Well, Matt Roller, our ESPN correspondent, one of our leading correspondents, actually wrote an interesting article that was based around exactly this point around strike rates and the trend of teams that are winning trophies over the last 2 years. It's based around teams that have got the best bowling strike rates. Not so much the teams that got the most amount of runs. It's take wickets, we win games.
Trying to extend on that point, and Matt's made a very good generalization or uniform pattern when it comes to T20 leagues around the world, and how bowling strike rate is the one common theme of teams that win it. KKR's squad perhaps allows them to play a balance that doesn't either compromise on their batting and gives them enough teeth in their bowling? The answer is two world-class all-rounders in Russell and Narayan. Every other team is either having to go a bowler short to get an extra batter short to get an extra bowler, and they're somewhere getting caught.
The Narayan factor is massive.
Yes.
Because no one ever saw that coming.
Yeah.
And it's basically given them another batter.
I think it's two world-class all-rounders.
Yeah.
It's two world-class all-rounders who are firing. That's important.
Fit firing. Russell's a proper bowler right now. And if, say, you didn't have Narayan opening, if he was a weak link at the top, like in previous seasons with the bat, he bats 7 or 8, is almost redundant like he has been. Then you're thinking, okay, who's going to open at the top? It might remove Ramandeep. It might remove an extra bowler.
Yep.
So it's a huge point there as far as just the two players that have allowed them to play this.
They're literally playing with two impact players.
Yeah.
Because they're both getting the job done with the bat and the ball almost equally.
13.
13, yeah.
That's actually a good point. It almost feels KKR actually are playing with 13 players effectively within the rules.
Comparatively to other teams.
Yeah.
Comparatively to other teams they are.
Because the quality of those two players.
And well done to their management who retained these two players.
Persevered
hoping
with them.
just for this. Yeah. Otherwise, we were wondering on whether these were good retentions. I mean, you can argue two years in a row it wasn't looking as good, and this year it is. So you'll always have that.
You win an IPL every 3 years, you'd be happy. Yep. That's a pretty good strike.
You'd love to see Andre Russell's numbers the year before a big auction. I reckon if KKR, you'd want to have a big auction every year because Andre Russell before a big auction.
This is his best numbers. This is his best numbers ever. Like this year.
Yeah.
Batting and bowling.
And his year's been great, hasn't it? This particularly the start of this year, he's been phenomenal. With West Indies, with ILT20 and then coming into this, it's been superb.
Yeah, I mean, you almost feel like regardless of what the nature of the impact rule next year, KKR are pretty sorted. It's not like they're going to be affected majorly.
Very impactful.
Well, they will be affected if the retentions aren't as high as might be because they'll lose a lot of players.
We'll come to that. But let's take some more comments coming through on Remanullah Gurbaz. Quietly an important game today. Did everything right behind the stumps. Held on to his catches. And a handy 20 to start things off.
He's a he looks like an absolute nightmare to bowl to because his next one's over the keeper. Big outside edge, over third man, and then all of a sudden he gets one out of the screws and hits you 40 rows back over long on.
Yeah.
Those are the worst guys to bowl to you.
He's a chaos batter.
Yeah, he's a chaos batter.
Isn't he? Ramanullah Gurbaz.
He and Tripathi, chaos batters.
and Narayan.
Narayan too,
So you got two of them opening the batting for him.
Yeah.
How do you plan for that?
Spreading chaos.
Yep, all right. That was a big tick for KKR. Just simple like for like. International keeper batter, Phil Salt gone, Gurbaz in, and off they go to the final. Let's see what else we've got. There are concerns from SRH fans about whether they have the balance to actually win at the Chepauk. Akhlaq says they have a terrible record there and they don't have the spinners, as we've pointed out. Are there really concerns after this performance for Sunrisers, or are they still well suited to have a completely different game at the Chepauk?
Not having spinners is always a concern, especially in the IPL, in the back end of the IPL. No matter which wicket you're playing on, it is going to have something for the spinners because it's a long tournament. There has been so much wear and tear, and it's only getting hotter now. So there is always going to be that little spin factor which is going to come into play. And if whoever they play, they might just get in Markande for the Chepauk game. They might just bowl Shehbaz a little more. But they will have to deliver in the spin department no matter what.
A player we didn't really cover, which is worth bringing up now, is Washington Sundar. We spent little time on him. Whether today is the day they could have got him in as an impact sub, maybe brought him on as a bowler to the amount of left-handers KKR have. And it seems like Washington Sundar is nowhere near the playing side. If Sanveer Singh is going to be regularly impacted without really having much of a role, nothing against him. But how far is Washi Sundar, who remains till date, their most expensive Indian signing?
Well, you'd have to think his bowling is well short of the mark. We all know what he's capable of doing because he's done it very well for India over the last couple of years. Not recently, but certainly has done in the recent past. He's a very fine all-rounder and primarily skill as an off-spinner that can bowl in the power play. It is amazing to see where he has gone over the last 3 years. And I don't think the impact sub has helped him at all because you would be playing him in nearly every game purely because of his multi-skills. And he gives you balance, but you don't need that balance when you've got an impact sub. So it sort of nearly makes it hard for him to recapture form and confidence out in the middle.
But it's interesting, there must be something which is going on that he's not playing, because I don't see Washington Sundar just getting 1 or 2 games in a season. He has been very impactful for whichever team he's played. Maybe he's not bowling well in the nets. Maybe there's something which they feel he's not fitting into the team. But from the first 6 games, I think I was expecting him to play every single game.
It has to be that.
He hasn't bowled well for 3 seasons for Sunrisers.
It has to be the bowling.
This is 3
Has to be the bowling, yeah, exactly.
This 3 years, this cycle,
Yeah.
he hasn't bowled well. I think if you dug out his numbers the last 3 years,
True.
he's either not bowled well or he's been injured.
Yeah, I think the injuries
He's been
are
injured
big
a lot,
part.
yes.
Yeah, so
True.
he's a
He has
player
been.
who's been through a lot of injuries.
Yes.
And even his comeback to the Indian team when fit, clearly it wasn't oozing the confidence. They had to go back almost to R. Ashwin
Absolutely.
for the World Cup. Ashwin was going back to selection. Even now there was no real conversation about
Washington Sundar,
as a variety spinner for the T20 World Cup. So this is a concern that goes beyond the IPL, in fairness.
Yeah.
But it's a shame, really, because Washington Sundar should have made a different IPL player. His pathway been different, but that's for another day. We'll see if somehow he finds some love at his home ground at the Chepauk in a few days' time. Couple of questions coming through on Shreyas Iyer and Venki Iyer as well. Momand wants to know if the drop catch of Shreyas was costly. I think they were well ahead in the game anyway.
Well, they were ahead in the game, but you take a wicket, another partnership's got to restart. Venki Iyer has to, get his partner set. So if he gets out taking a big wrist shot, then all of a sudden they're another 2 wickets down, and you're putting some guys under some pressure. So it's yes, KKR were ahead at the time, but I think the drop catches, particularly the one that Klassen dropped where he collided with Tripathi, I think that was probably more significant. That was a time where they still had a small glimmer of hope.
But 2 balls later, one straight to Travis Head. One of the most incredible fielders takes Rohit Sharma's catch out of nowhere in the World Cup final at this ground. Then puts that down. Just not that day. Sunrisers?
Yeah. Look, Travis Head's a good fielder. I wouldn't say he's a great fielder. He's on World Cups, but particularly finals.
But telling Rohit Sharma this. Yeah.
But yeah, look, that's a catch you take, 19 times out of 20. He'd be gutted he dropped that.
All right. There's some questions on Heinrich Klaasen, curiously, on whether by his standards he's had an ordinary season. Today was the day for Klaasen to play a big hand or a big knock. Was his dismissal disappointing in any way? Would you expect more from that situation?
I think that time required a little consolidating of that innings. Maybe just knocking it around, maybe taking it a little deeper. But like we were talking about, the approach in our mid show, I think it's very like you just want to go hard all the time. But sometimes
they were a 60-run partnership at that point.
Yeah,
those two, Tripathi and Heinrich Klaasen, and I think it was probably the right time to go. He just didn't get it, did he? And that's the nature of these boundaries. These boundaries are a little bit bigger than you think, and he potentially just went a little bit square because you've played it in Gujarat that the straight boundaries where we saw Shreyas Iyer look to target.
Yeah.
Those are the boundaries you've got to target here, and maybe it was just the shot selection in terms of that being the go-to, as opposed to trying to hit him straight down the ground and looking for that ball. That was the issue.
Right. Good questions on Shreyas Iyer, though. If you talk about important innings today, game was in comfortable control, but Shreyas getting that kind of knock, finishing it off, you almost think perfect going into the final. If anything, Shreyas has not had a big season with the bat, but this is a good hand to get.
Yeah, but he hasn't had to, right? Most of his opportunities are limited. Yes, at the start of the tournament, when he did come in, he actually almost slowed down their innings, didn't he? He was still striking at the mid-120s, was really struggling. But I think a couple of games where he started to build the back end, which is what you want from your senior players. And he's actually played the short ball a bit better in the last 4 or 5 games. It hasn't looked as much of a challenge to him, but when he sees his opportunity against spin, what I've liked in the last few games is that he's really gone after spin. And that's his role in this side, isn't it? It's make sure that when he gets his match up, that he still goes and still has some intent. And today, that last over, that had us running up to the studio because we thought the game might go for another couple of overs, but he took it down, and he took it down beautifully.
All right. Just replying to Tom's comments, Vijayendra says, if SRH have the better batting, considering that than their bowling, they should automatically always be chasing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the normal pattern in T20 cricket. If your strength or you feel your strength is with one suit or the other, you put yourself in a position to to be able to play that suit. And today, that suit for Sunrisers is their batting is their stronger suit. So you'd think, even if it was a 50-50 for Dew, you'd think, well, regardless of what's happened during the season, we're not thinking about what's happened, we're thinking about what's going to happen, and that is us chasing down whatever total is that we need to chase down if our bowlers and our fielders do the job. So maybe they were a little bit spooked, not spooked, but a little bit sort of swayed with their dominance as a team batting first and saying, no, we're going to boss this game and just take every element out of the game.
I think that's probably that's the reason, if you're wondering at home, why Sunrisers have chosen to bat first. It's because they want to boss the game from the outset. They want to put a score on the board because they know their bowlers are weaker. And when your bowlers are a little bit weaker, you need the scoreboard to add some pressure.
Sure.
So if you're chasing, if you can have 2 or 3 good overs or take a couple of wickets in a row, you actually create more pressure for a good batting unit like KKR. So that's why they batted first, and that's why that the way they set up. Yep, another team would have, with a couple of other bowlers, stronger bowlers, would have looked to do exactly that. But that's why they probably do that.
But they can't do that in Chennai. Chennai is a ground with a lot of dew. Now, if they do that again, then they're making bad calls because they cannot win the toss and field second in Chennai for sure.
What will probably happen is they'll lose the toss.
They'll lose the toss. That'll be the best outcome.
Well, I don't think they will.
Yeah.
If they do win the toss, I think they will chase.
Yes.
For that reason you're
Yes.
talking about. But you know how things work in life.
True, absolutely.
When you're thinking, oh gosh, we need to really win it here.
When I checked the forecast for qualifier 2 a couple of days ago, there was a chance of rain on Friday. Just pointing out.
It's a long way away.
Long way away, yeah.
We've got a big,
please.
we've got a big matter to decide before that.
Update your app.
which is who will play them. So Rajasthan RCBs tomorrow, but we will not wrap this up without a quick fire rapid fire, and we also have a special appreciation from Mitch Starc coming up a little while from now. Let's do a rapid fire review of the game, gentlemen. Wonderful story for KKR, stormed their way into an IPL final, so let's get going. Tom Moody, 4 out of 6 wins for chasing teams in Ahmedabad. Did Pat Cummins get it wrong at the toss? 20 seconds.
Yeah, I think the toss call was an incorrect one. I think for the reason we discussed, I think Sunrisers' strength is their batting, and I think they would want to chase, particularly if there's the threat of Dew. Dew obviously has an influence on the fielding side, but also the bowling side. Makes it difficult for the pace bowlers to get their accuracy right and spinners to spin the ball.
Excellent. Moving on to Mitch McClenaghan. Was it inevitable that Mitchell Starc would make himself count come the crunch time of the season? 20 seconds.
Big player, big game, big moments. And that's what it's all about. I was about to do Tuesday, if anyone knows what that means. But he was good. Hello, brother.
Am I too young or too old to get that reference?
I think you might have been. Just ruined your rapid fire, sorry.
That's fine. I'll have to do an extra question for one of you. Varun, 20 wickets, economy just over 8. Is Varun Chakravarti the best spinner of the season?
He's definitely been one of the best spinners of the season. He's obviously reaping the benefits of what Naren does throughout the season, not just this game. Naren puts the pressure, they want to take him down, but he's also stepping up to the occasion and being as good, if not better than Naren most times. So yes, he has been really consistent, especially in the back half, and that's why we see KKR where they are.
All right, Varun, I'll stick with you. Rate the Iyer and Iyer show out of 10 to take it to the final for Kolkata.
I think 10 out of 10 because they didn't let the game slip away. They attacked the game. They took it on, went at the same pace the batsmen previous to them were batting at. They didn't give SRH a sniff. They did give them a few chances, but SRH were not on the money to take those chances.
All right, Tom, back to you. What changes would you make to the Hyderabad lineup, if any, for qualifier 2?
Well, I think firstly they need to see the conditions. There's going to be change of venue, so see the conditions. They certainly need to consider their spin options. Mount Kennedy is definitely one they may have to look at, which gives them a little bit more flexibility with their overseas options, whether it's to bring another pace bowler in, like a Faruqi, or bring another batter in to strengthen that middle order. And
finally, Mitch, dominance from start to finish. Are Kolkata favourites, regardless of who they face on Sunday in the final? 20 seconds.
Undoubtedly they're favourites. They've been the best team throughout this whole competition, the most aggressive as well, and tonight they showed they can handle the pressure. So I believe that it's their final to lose.
All right, wrapped up nicely. KKR into the final, and we did have some big misses, you think, therefore, in the impact zone. Let's see how the panel fared today. Okay, that's it. I have nothing more.
Oh my God.
94.7. But it's important to identify who came second, given my points are simply for bragging rights.
Mr. Moody.
But Tripathi with 68.2. We all missed out on the highest impact player of the day, Mitchell Starc, with 101.2. And the third highest player, Shreyas Iyer, with 61.8. With some big negatives for big players. Travis Head on that list, Abhishek.
Yeah.
Yeah, unexpected really, wasn't it? A lot of those misses, but we thought the game was going to trend completely differently than it did.
Yes. Mitch Starc missing out. We'll remember to keep him in mind, perhaps, for the pick for the finals.
Any outrages get hit today?
Sorry?
Any outrages hit today?
Let's have a look. Nah, you knew what you were looking for. Right. Hyderabad lost 3 for under 50 in the power play. Given how good their power play record has been, we consider that an outrageous pick, which Varun Aaron has landed. None of the rest came to fruition. You're a happy man. And you made
Tom's giving me the side eye.
He's made a nice big outrageous pick equivalent to the season outrageous pick, which is Kohli to get 80 plus in the final.
And RCB to win.
And RCB to win that final. Wow. Well, that will be tomorrow, but we haven't wrapped things up yet. We spent quite a bit of time appreciating Mitchell Starc, but there is time for him on this show as well. He is our JBL Mute the World performer of the day. It's time that I put this on and talk about Mitchell Starc, who in many ways has silenced, muted the noise going into the season with all those big 50 plus 4-over spells and how much money he came in for. He would be putting some of these on, listening to some nice music tonight, Mitch McClenaghan, wouldn't he?
Oh, jeez. I'll tell you what, he's, I've got PTSD from watching Mitchell Starc take key wickets in the first over of a crunch match, and he just does it every time. He just seems to find a way of getting the best player out in a game which they have to win. So, yeah, I know you heard all of that. No, he's high quality, and he's been building towards this throughout the whole season, right? Yep. He's been building up really, really nicely. He's got a couple of good performances together. He's figured out where his field needs to be as well, where he's leaking runs, and I thought tonight he was on. He could have taken 4 or 5 wickets tonight, and that game could have been over even earlier.
Yeah. What changed today then different is he just up for it because it's a big final playoff game?
Oh, look, it's a big game, obviously, but every game's a big game. You know, when you just think of Mitchell Starc coming into the first couple of the games of this tournament. He would have been very much up for making a statement as a premium fast bowler, particularly given the price he went for. He wanted to, he'd want to make a big statement there. He struggled to do that. But I think we need to identify also the conditions were quite, well suited to someone that had the ability to swing the ball. And Starc didn't swing it, massively, but he swung it enough at high pace to cause those problems. And what he does do is he's very good. He's a bit like Trent Bolt. Once there's a little bit of movement, they know exactly where to bowl, and they're giving themselves the best chance to take wickets, and he does that very well.
I wonder in your career as well, at whatever level, first class, lower, higher, because I've seen on social media now how Starc enjoys bowling to Travis Head. That for all the players he could bowl the first and then the second ball too, he had someone he knew well, someone he knows he's got a better chance of getting the better of in a game like this. Did it make a difference that Starc had Travis Head in front of him, who he knew how to get?
There's always a comfort knowing who you're bowling to, and if you bowl to them for a long period of time through the years in the nets. But I think the other aspect we should touch upon is the KKR batting, which has allowed Starc to get into this form, because if they weren't winning, he would have been under more pressure. So them continuously winning and him not being in the best of form at the start gave him that cushion to actually get into form towards the end. And that's exactly how that's the great part of a team sport. Sometimes the batsman can cover up your inadequacies sometimes, but
even the rest of his bowling.
Absolutely, yeah.
The rest of his bowlers deserve credit.
100%.
Sure.
But Starc is a champion bowler, and we know he's a big match player, and that's exactly what he's done today.
If you were Mitchell Starc, who is your Travis Head?
Tough. I mean, I don't want to like
some friend of yours in domestic cricket.
No, it's all right.
You don't have a bunny?
I rather
Come on, name
like,
and shame.
No, I don't want to shame anybody. It's cool.
You're a good man. You're a good man. A chill man who'll cut out all this nonsense noise that I put your way. And you can actually cut out the noise as well. These lovely JBL Tune Beam, active noise cancelling earphones that give you legendary JBL sound. It's something that the legendary Mitchell Starc, I can call him the legendary Mitchell Starc, can't I?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Enjoy this evening with. So well done, Mitchell Starc. He is our JBL Mute the World performer of the day. That is pretty much a wrap. Big thank you to Varun, Mitchell McClenaghan and Tom Moody. We need to be back tomorrow. Got lots of time actually. Game got over nice and quick. KL Rahul would love this game. You know, Sunrisers getting blown away in 13, 14 overs. He would like it.
Taste of that medicine.
Yeah, I know some players would. But well done. What a story it is for KKR, for Gautam Gambhir, for Chandrakant Pandit and the rest of the management, and for Shreyas Iyer with everything that he's gone through as well, taking the Knight Riders through to their 4th IPL final. Now they sit back and they await the winners first of the eliminator and then of the second qualifier, which is where Sunrisers Hyderabad will wait with bated breath. We look forward to the eliminator then on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL. Download the mobile app. Plenty that will be written and said on this game. Rahmanullah Gurbaz addresses the media as we speak. It'll be wonderful to hear his thoughts on his first appearance for the season, being in a convincing win in the qualifiers, and we look forward to your company for the eliminator tomorrow. Good night.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.